Hello and welcome to my first episode of Kerbal Space Program. I've had the game for quite a while now really, but I've not done any videos on it because basically I've been trying to find my feet with it, watched a lot of videos, particularly Scott Manley's, and yeah, I thought I'd start again and go through basically the career mode through a series of episodes. So hopefully you'll enjoy this. So Kerbal Space Program, if you don't already know, is basically the story of, well, not so much story, but it's more like a sandbox really. But you play as these Kerbals, or more to the point, you kind of create rockets and space planes, or just planes for these Kerbals to go and do various missions. And in career mode, those missions reward you with, money and science points, which are kind of key to unlocking bigger and better equipment. So, without further ado, I'm going to go straight in. I'm not doing any mods or anything. I'm just going to use Kerbal Vanilla. Okay, start new, and let's just call it that. Career, difficulty normal, and away we go. So, straight away, nice to meet you. I'm Gene Kerman, Flight Director and your guide for this quick introduction. This is the Space Center. From here you can manage all aspects of the space program. Feel free to have a look around. Hold the right mouse button to move the camera or use the arrow keys. Right click over the Space Center facilities to view more about them, and left click when you're ready to head inside. If you need more information, check out the training section on the main menu. Okay, so as he suggests, right click and hold allows you to kind of move around. Now, these are the various kind of functions of your space program basically. This being it's down in the bottom left there. I always forget where this is. Vehicle assembly building, that's the space plane hangar. Astronaut complex. This is the administration building, because from time to time you're going to need to hire more Kerbals. We've got research and development, which is kind of important for us. We've got... Why isn't that oh, it is. Tracking station. It's not highlighting as those do. Tracking station, that's the runway, which doesn't look too great at the moment, so we'll need to upgrade that at some point, but space planes are kind of not the concern right now. This is the launch pad. Let's see if I can get around here. There it is. So the launch pad doesn't look particularly smart either, so we're going to have to upgrade that too. So first things first, we need to go and let's just go and have a look at research and development. Now, this is in career mode, this is what everything pins on. So, or hinges on, should I say? That's the correct term. Right, so I've got no science whatsoever now. These are your science points up here. And to unlock these various elements, you need more science. And this one wants 5, this one wants 5, that one's 15, 18, 20... so on and so forth. By this level you're starting to need quite a bit of science. So basically in career mode your primary concern is to find science or do science experiments to gain science points. You've got another constraint here, and that's your budget. So at the moment we've got 25,000 by the looks of it, which is pretty pitiful. So in order to get started, there's mission control. I didn't show you that one. Mission control. Now, you don't just jump in and create something. You go to mission control, where you're greeted with this chap, Gene Kerman, and he's got some missions for us. So he says he wants to get some scientific data from Kerbin. So what's the briefing? So it seemed terrible for the chief bookkeeper at Kerbin, World First Record Keeping Society, that we knew very little about whether we definitely did not know what we were doing. Okay, that's a sentence and a half, isn't it? Admittedly, the way we would frequently be unintentionally performing high demand stress testing was how we got into that situation in the first place. As you've surely deduced already from this, this is why we're here. Okay, give us a quick crew report before launching. It's fine if any of the lights on the control panel are flashing, just give it a swift kick. So basically, all we need to do is get a crew report without even launching for this one. And when we've done that, we get 1 science, and we get 7,600 Kerbal credits. I don't know what the actual currency is. So if you fail, it's pretty hard to fail this one, but if you fail, you're going to lose about 4,500 credits. Our next mission is launch our first vessel. And let's just skip straight down to the objectives, because I mean the key bits of information really are this trivial, yeah, so that means it's easy. Expires in 1 day and 6 hours roughly. That's not a concern. Launch your first vehicle off the launch pad or the runway to achieve this goal. Pretty simple. We get again 1 science and 3,817 credits, whatever the currency is. I'm not sure what these stars are at the moment. I think they're reputation points. Now, I don't know a huge amount about the game, but like I said, I have been watching Scott Manley, so I do have a fair idea about what I need to be doing. But there's a lot to learn in this. It's quite a learning curve. So the next one is escape the atmosphere. Now that's quite as it says here, significant. It's quite difficult at this stage because you don't have an awful lot of equipment to play with. So breach the atmosphere by flying a vessel to an altitude of 70,000 meters to achieve this goal. Yeah, that one could be tricky. Now, I can only accept 2 missions at a time. So the next major... Ooh, alright, stop butting in. The next major mission is this orbit Kerbin. It gives us 24 reputation points. It's got 3 stars, so that's exceptional. And this is going to be tough without at least unlocking some stuff. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see about that one. I don't know if I can get this one done in this video, because I'll be trying to keep it short. So I'm right off the bat, I'm going to accept these first 2 missions because I can only accept 2 anyway. All right. And what we'll do is we'll go in here. Okay. I'm not going to go and read through all of the dialogues because essentially you need to kind of get the game and read those yourself. So we can see our transportation road to the launch pad over there. And in order to create a mission we need a command pod at least, because we don't have any of the other funky tech that allows us to do anything without Kerbals. And we'll need an engine. So we've only got 1 available to us right now, the Flea. And what we'll do is we'll put that on here. Okay, now let's go back and look at the mission. We've got some tabs down here now. That I can't remember what it's for at the moment. I think it's kind of notes on your successes and fails, I think. But here is the contracts. If you click that, it kind of stays up, and you can see here, recover, transmit any science experiment. So we can see our goals. The notes aren't terribly important. It is important to read them, but at this stage, you know, the goals are pretty simple. Just get some science, take a crew report, that one is, and launch our first vessel. Now, so we've got to do a launch. Now, this thing will punch this thing quite high up, and we don't need to do that much. So what you can do is right click and drop this down. I would say about here. I'm not 100% sure on this, but I would say about there, just to get us up high enough to launch the parachutes. Assuming, yeah, there we go, parachute. And so, yeah, we've limited our fuel, and in fact, we'll thrust limit as well. We don't want to go too high up. Let's do 50% on that, maybe, and see how that goes. Kerbins, it's already selected Jebediah here, so we don't need to worry about that. But obviously, if you don't recover vessel during your missions and you decide to kill people off, you're going to end up having to to hire more people. Now, science is goo experiment here. Now, we can do a goo experiment. So what we'll do is we'll put one there, and I think we're ready to go. So I can't think of anything else I need to do for this right now. This stuff I'll go through later on, but let's just get this mission done if we can. Now, before we launch, we need to sort this out, right? Because in order to invoke stages of your rocket or space plane, you press spacebar. I'm not going to get into action sets here because that's later on, a bit more advanced. So you can see here for action 0, the first action, it's going to fire the rocket and blow the parachute at the same time. That's not ideal, and you could damage the parachute doing that. So what we need to do is create another one and drag the rocket down. Now, while it numbers them 0, 1 in downward order, the order of the stages is in the stack of how they're ordered here. So the bottom one is the first one. So a little bit counterintuitive, and I think really the devs should fix that, really, because this is stage 0. This is the first thing we do. That would be stage 1, and so on and so forth. But, you know, that's terminology, I guess. So let's call this the ABX1, because it's the Akiran Blade prototype 1, and X is typically used for a prototype, right? Let's save that, and I'm going to hit launch and see whether we can make something of this. It's taking a little while. Here we go. We're ready to go. And the first thing we need to do is observe the goo. And look at this. We get 3 science just for observing that. And I don't know if I can... have I got enough electric charge for that? But if I transmit it, I get a further 0.9 science, so I could try doing that. So let's try that. Containment unit warning. It will render the module inoperative. We don't really need it again, I guess, because I could do more goo experiments later. So let's just transmit that. No comms device, so I can't transmit it. So let's review the data and then keep the data. and then I think we can reset the canister and do it again. Okay, the next thing we need to do is come down to here. No, we don't. We need to right click on here, and we need to hit crew report, and we're going to get 1.5 science for doing a crew report. So if I keep that data, there we go. And now if I just check this here, it seems that we haven't achieved this first goal, and I kind of expected it. Oh, we have to recover it to achieve it. Okay, that's fair enough. So now we can launch. Now we should be launching first and then parachuting second. So hopefully we haven't got too much fuel and too much thrust on this rocket. So let's try that. It's a bit rampant, and the fuel's gone, and we're slowing back down, and we're going to take another crew report, I think. No, we're not, because we need to recover that one. Let's re-observe the mystery goo, and look, we get another 7. We're starting to fall back down, I think. Yep. Let's launch the parachute. So another 7 science, and we would have gotten 2.1 science if we could transmit that, but I don't have a transmitter, so let's keep that data. So the parachute's done its thing. Scroll out a bit so we can see that, and then hopefully we're going to have a nice soft landing. Now there's a warp function up here that allows us to speed up time, but beware that this can actually cause things to happen that wouldn't necessarily normally happen if you weren't warping. So I tend to, when there's a critical moment, I tend to put it back down to normal speed. And there we are, we've landed our first ever rocket. So what we need to do now is come up to this control bit here and recover vessel. And look at this, we've got 19 science earned there. So we got some science for the yep, here we go. And what's this over here? So we've achieved 2 contracts. We got 1.5 science for that data. We got 7 science for that data. We got 5 science for recovery of a vessel that survived a flight. So we did quite well there. Parts. So we've got been refunded some money for the parts that we used. So we've now got 88,950 Kerbal creds. And crew, Jebediah has gained some experience, so that's good. No rep gain there. And these are the contracts that popped up behind. So yeah, we got the 1 science there, the 3 rep there, and we got 1 science there, 1 rep there. So we can now discard these. These are the milestone stuff. So we have broken the speed record of 25 meters per second. Brilliant. We have launched our first vessel. We have broken the speed record of 80 meters per second. We have broken an altitude record of 500 meters, altitude 2,000 meters. We've returned to the surface. We have recovered our first human from a mission. We have performed the first one of our experiments at home. Brilliant. So we can discard that, and we're all clear. So that went quite well. So now we need to go to research and development, and let's start using some of this science up. Now there are 2 options here. We can do basic rocketry, and we start looking at the Reliant liquid fuel engine, Hammer solid booster, and the fuel tank, for which we will get more missions. So let's research that. And we need these as well. So we've got the Science Junior that allows us to get more science. which is good. The Communotron 16, that will allow us to transmit. That's important. And a stack decoupler. Now this is really key. We need one of these because when we start making bigger rockets, we need to be able to dump half the rocket when it runs out of fuel. So we need this. So we've got 9.5 science left. I'm not going to use that up yet because I can't afford in science terms any of these items yet. But unlocking these two has given us more missions to do anyway, so let's go and check that out. So some basic ones are in here. So what we could do, let's just quickly go down here. So conduct focused observational survey. I'm not going to do that one right now. I think because these want us to go to near area JQ7B, so I don't know where that is. L2D3H, no idea where that is, so I'm going to leave those alone for a minute. And again, that's looking for a specific place. We can only still do maximum of 2 missions, so we've got a couple of easy ones here. Test the Mark 16 parachute. We kind of already used that, but it should be fairly trivial to do this. However, the objectives are a little bit more specific now. So we need to be on Kerbin, we need to be flying, fair enough. We need to be at an altitude between 2,000 and 8,000 meters. Okay. And also we need to be doing between 80 and 280 meters per second. Now this is the tricky bit, is making sure that we don't go too high or too fast or too low or too slow. That's quite fiddly, and we might end up having to revert to launch. So I'm going to accept that one anyway. And the next one is the hammer. Now, I might skip that one and go for the flea. No, the flea wants a suborbital trajectory and a really high altitude. So no, I'm not going to do that. Test TR-18A stack decoupler splashdown. Splashed down at Kerbin. It wants us to splash down, then do it. That's odd. Why would it want you to test that? I'm gonna try that, but that seems a little bit odd, doesn't it? Okay, I've got 2 missions. Let's try and do those. So first of all, let's pop up into the hangar. So I forget my keys. So middle mouse button pressed down and pull back allows us to go in and out. So we need to test the stack decoupler. So I need to go and get that. So that's under structural, and there it is. I'm going to put that on there, and we're going to grab this here. And as you can see, the staging is not right. So we're going to need to create a change here, and that's not right either. There we go. So we want the rocket, then we want parachute, and then the stack decoupler, because we're testing that in the water for whatever reason. So let's save this one as prototype 2, and let's go to launch, I guess. I don't know if it's got enough fuel and whatnot to get us over the water at this rate, but we'll try. So immediately pressing D to give us some sideways movement. So as you can see, we're moving quite nicely over the water, or toward the water should I say. We're not there yet, and now we're on the downward arc. And let's let's do this. Now, I don't think... Yeah, we weren't high enough for the parachute because I didn't sort out the rocket's fueling. Let's speed this up. It's quite hard to tell. The water effects are quite basic, so it's quite hard to actually judge your distance from the water. So we do have an altitude. That's the best way to tell, obviously. It's just remembering to keep looking at this stuff. There we go. And we tested the decoupler there, and as you can see, test the stack decoupler at splashdown at Kerbal. We've done that. Brilliant. So let's recover the vessel. Awesome. I do like to do more than one mission at a time, but we didn't have enough fuel to do that, so we'll go back to that. We got 0.8 science for the recovery, 14 science in total, and some refunds. Ooh, up to 140,000 now. Nice. And we're up to a reputation of 22. Okay, so let's go back to the hangar and rectify the fueling problem. And take the thrust limiter off. There we go. Now let's see where that takes us. So before I do anything, let's pop this out so we can see what's going on. And as you can see, it stays there now. And I'm going to launch. Now immediately I'm having to kind of correct. It wants to go left and I'm making it go right. We're at 2,000, so we're going a bit too fast now. We're not going to get to 8,000, I don't believe. And there we go. Now ideally you would want to be doing that on the downward movement, but I took the opportunity to get the mission done right there and then. So let's fast forward this. And that's another mission done. Plummeting back down. You see, that looks like it didn't really behave properly there because of the time acceleration. What's that? Oh, we got some debris because we did the decoupler test, so we can actually recover that. Let's, while we're here, we're over the water, which is, I think, essentially a different area. So let's try and observe the goo. And we get some science. So we'll keep that data, and we'll do a crew report from here. And we get another 2 science there, so we're going to keep that data too. And now we're going to recover. And we've got now 25.5 science in total. We earned 6.1 there, so that's brilliant. We're up to 100. Oh, we've gone down a little bit there, but that's fine. 32 rep, brilliant. So if we look around, you can see ABX2 debris. Click on that, recover, and we get some money back. Job done. Right, I think, you know, we've done some very basic stuff there. I'm trying to keep these episodes as short as possible, but as you can see, the more we do, the more projects we get to work on in Kerbal. So this is a really fun program, and it's great for learning about, kind of at a basic level, it's great for learning things about rocketry and escape trajectories and apogee and perigee and all this kind of funky stuff, and Scott Manley's favourite, delta V. You need enough delta V in your life. I couldn't agree more. So I hope you enjoyed this first episode. Don't forget to hit the Don't forget to hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more Kerbal Space Program. Thanks for watching. Bye bye for now.
Hello.
Hello.
Taking damage.
I won't do that anymore. Your shields are still up. Oh, I got a 400 credit bounty on me now because of that.